Welcome to A Drink of Wisdom with Jay Wise and Nathan Drinkard. I'm your host, Cody Ward. Thank you for spending some of your time with us tonight. And as a reminder to all our listeners, besides being on all your favorite podcast platforms, A Drink of Wisdom is also on YouTube with each show segment available. Head on over, and if you like what you hear, we would appreciate your subscription. What's going on, guys? Nice Friday afternoon. Some good football last night for a half. Got to get into it. What's going on?
Yeah, for a half. It's a good result for me. I'm glad I picked it the right way, but let's go ahead and get into it.
Let's talk some sports, baby. Yeah, man. So, Phillip Rivers. I still don't care for him much. But he showed up last night. We're going to get into it. You know what I'm saying? Pull up a seat. We got the speed, et cetera, et cetera. Don't let that get too far ahead of you. Let's roll, baby.
All right, in episode 15, Houston has a problem. Josh Allen meets Kyler Murray, and we preview a COVID-riddled slate of college football. But we're going to go ahead and begin tonight with last night's Thursday night football action. The Colts waxed the Tennessee Titans on the road 34-17. The Colts did trail at halftime 17-13, but they poured it on in the second half with efficient offense and a controlling defense. The Titans defense continued their struggles, and despite a nice night from Derrick Henry, the offense couldn't make up the difference. The result puts both teams at 6-3, with Indy holding the tiebreaker in the AFC South for now. So, Jay, how did the Colts put this one away in the second half, and are we really ready to buy into either of these teams completely?
Well, I guess I'll answer your second question first. I've been in on the Colts since the start of this season, but only for the division. This isn't a team that I expect to do a lot of damage in the playoffs. But in terms of the AFC South, I've seen them as the best team. Even though Phillip Rivers he's been somewhat questionable from time to time at his advanced age, given this offensive line, given this array of running backs. And what has turned out to be a really good defense led by Matt Eberflus. This appears to be the class of the division. Definitely an important game between the two teams that have really stood out, while the Texans and Jaguars have, I guess you could say, they stood down. So both of these teams, this was an important game. They'll meet again in 2 weeks. And if the Colts are able to sweep that series, that's a huge advantage given that tiebreaker. But it really, what the difference was, the second half performance of the Colts, because the Titans appeared to be in control throughout the first half. That the Titans defense looked like they were playing with a little more energy. It looked like one of their better performances in recent memory. They have not been quite as good as they were last year. But then you look at how the beginning of the second half went down. The Colts go on a long drive. They convert 2 4th downs, and they went for one more down the goal line. They get stopped, and then the Titans take over. They pick up a first down, and then they end up with 2nd and 1. They get stopped for no gain on 2nd down, and then on 3rd and 1, rather than give the ball to Derrick Henry, they go play action. Danico Autry does not get fooled, and they get a big sack, the only sack of the night for the Colts. And that really is what, in my mind, turned this game around. Because, Derrick Henry had a nice game, 19 carries, over 100 yards, doing for the most part what he wanted and, barreling over defenders as he customarily does. I was a bit surprised that they went away from the run game there. And the Colts really seized upon that momentum and just took over from there. And that Colts defense in that second half really asserted themselves. And it brings up, just the questions that kind of we have and that we've had that I've had since Ryan Tannehill took that contract while they franchise tagged Derrick Henry. I didn't like it at the time. I still don't like it. And although Ryan Tannehill at the beginning of the season seemed to be playing up to that contract, I still got questions. And I think last night is probably more in line who I believe Ryan Tannehill is. He's an average NFL starting quarterback. He's not a $30+ million quarterback in my estimation, unless you're going to give me the inflation speech. You can go ahead and give me that. And this is not to say that I'm a huge believer in Phillip Rivers. I'm not a huge believer in him, but he does have the experience. He can still air it out. And then you got this guy Michael Pittman, this rookie from Southern Cal, I believe. He had an impressive game last night. 7 catches, 101 yards. You still have T.Y. Hilton, Naheem Hines. What a weapon he was out of the backfield. Running the football as well as receiving it. And again, that defense led by Darius Leonard. What a job. And it's a defense with not a whole lot of – they don't have a lot of huge names. They did acquire DeForest Buckner in the offseason. So you add him along with Darius Leonard. You know, you got Xavier Rhodes from the Minnesota Vikings. But they're not a star-ridden defense. They go about it as a unit. It's a true team defensive unit, and that's what you have to do against Derrick Henry. But this was definitely a significant win for the Colts. When you look at what some of the things they've done thus far this season, there's not a lot of games that you look at and say, oh, well, that was really impressive. This was their most impressive win. That second half was a signature performance. And they appear to have the upper hand in the AFC South, as I suspected they would.
First, I want to start off by bracketing this. You know, on here on the Drink of Wisdom. You know, what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. Listen, I'm still not a Phillip Rivers fan, but the proof was in the pudding. He did a great job last night. I thought he ran that Colts offense pretty efficient, especially in the second half. Here's the deal. What I noticed out of Phillip Rivers that I haven't really seen since Andrew Luck left was Phillip Rivers wasn't dependent on T.Y. Hilton. For the most part, I seen Phillip Rivers passing the ball around. T.Y. Hilton, what was his stats last night? Because it was, 4 catches for 40 yards? Yeah, that sounds about right. Because I seen Phillips trying to get everybody else involved. I'm going to be honest. I didn't even know Burton was on the team until last night. I seen him throw a ball. I'm like, oh, this is where Trey Burton been hiding at. So that coupled with the run game, the run, I thought God, I can't think of the kid's name. I thought he played well. What's the rookie name that they got on now? The guy from Wisconsin.
Jonathan Taylor.
Taylor, there we go. I thought he played well last night. I was impressed. But the most impressive thing I seen out of the Colts last night was that offensive line. That offensive line was as advertised, folks. Like they said, it was a top 5 unit. I'm going to be honest, this was the first Colts game that I really, really sat down and watched because it was prime time. And I'm telling you, I was watching that offensive line and I said, yo, these dudes are prime time. They was pushing the Titans all over. I forgot Jadeveon Clowney even played for the Titans. I can't even tell you if he even got that many snaps because they all looked the same to me because they was getting balled up. Also, I thought the Titans defense is trash. Let's just go and call it what we're going to call it here. Jay want to be political about it, but their defense is trash. Wasn't impressed whatsoever. I thought Phillip Rivers, for the most part, if he was like probably 5 years younger, it would have went down. He would have had a field day. You could just tell he got limitations to his game because of his age. But listen, hey, Mike Bravel, you're supposed to be a defensive guru. It's time to figure some things out. Your boys was out there looking bad last night. They was looking bad. I thought, to answer your question, let me get to the question. I thought the way the Colts put the game away was, smothering defense. Derrick Henry got his, but he didn't get his to the point of you had to overreact to him getting his. Because, you know what I'm saying? A player can go off, but will you overreact to him going off? And I didn't think the Colts did that. They said, all right, cool. Let him get, 5, 10-yard little jumps, but we're going to make sure Tannehill don't beat us. And Tannehill didn't beat. Even though I seen some pretty creative play calling for Tennessee, it just didn't translate into points. It was what it was. But overall, I'm with Jay when I say I ain't buying into the Titans at all. Like I ain't buying into Titans. I buy into Derrick Henry, but I ain't buying into the Titans. Like go ahead and knock that off. Colts, I got to put some respect on their name. I think I got to buy into them. The division seemed to be theirs for the taking. And with that, they're going to get a home playoff game. Phillip Rivers, his experience, don't like the guy, but I got to put some respect on his name with the drippy drip. So I do buy into the Colts, not so much the Titans. And I thought, the Colts put the game away with good defense and a powerful offensive line.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I am from this game. I was shocked that the Colts just ran away with it in the second half. I mean, my God! But I think for the Titans, there's a couple big plays you can look at that have really kind of sunk them. And in addition to that 4th and 1 that they didn't get, they had the block punt obviously, which was kind of a big deal. And then you also had the first half. You had that early pass to A.J. Brown, which should have been a 70-something yard touchdown. They dropped. He only dropped it once. He dropped it twice in the same catch. Which those are the kind of plays you have to have. Obviously, in the NFL, even when you're good, the difference in 6 and 3 and 3 and 6 can be just a couple plays like that, and they just didn't make them. And then when you don't make those kind of plays, then you got to rely on something like, say, this defense, which just and it's surprising to me this Tennessee Titans defense just isn't this good. I mean, they've got some names. Like, you get on the list, you're like, yeah, there's some dudes. Like, you really look at that front 7, and you think like, yeah, there's some guys up there. We got David Clowney this offseason. We traded for Desmond King, and we got some guys in the backfield, but then it's like it never comes together. And then they didn't have a Dory Jackson last night, but I mean, would that really made the difference in the game? I don't think he would have. In the offense, I think what's happened is you look at this offense, they were scoring 30, 40 points every game. I mean, these guys waxed the Bills. And I think the Texans back-to-back weeks, like 40-something plus each game. And Ryan Tannehill was like putting up legit like Patrick Mahomes type numbers. And there were comparisons where you couldn't tell them apart if you took their names off the stat sheets. But I think what's happened is you had Roger Saffold get hurt. You had Taylor Lewan get hurt. The center missed a couple snaps, and it just
and you don't benefit from a mass COVID breakout where the other team actually gets to prepare for you because they know they're going to actually play you and not somebody else.
Your bootleg practices going on. Yeah, I feel you. But I mean, I got no love for the Titans, but I'm just trying to be objective here, But I think Ryan Tannehill can play better than this. But I think that you're seeing him come back down to earth without an elite offensive line. And honestly, this team doesn't feel like they need to throw the ball to get Derrick Henry going more than Derrick Henry needs to get the passing game going. It feels like teams just sell out so much for Derrick Henry that they got to do the opposite. And if they can't do that, it's like, well, Derrick Henry's nice, but what else can you do? And I don't know, it just didn't work out for him. I think that, obviously, if you had to buy into one of these teams right now, to me, I would agree that it's probably the Colts that I'd be a little more buying into. But, even then, Phillip Rivers, he comes and goes week to week. He'll have a nice week where he wakes up feeling good. The next week he wakes up and all his joints are hurting and his 10 kids are aggravating him. He doesn't get a chance to look at the game plan, and they come out and look like crap. So I don't mean my God, the Jaguars beat them. So, I don't – but I think that they can make a run if that offensive line stays healthy. But I don't know how far it's going to be. And the Titans, I guess they got to get something turned around because they've lost 3 of their last 4.
No rest for either one of these teams before they meet back up in 2 weeks. Indianapolis gets Green Bay. Tennessee gets Baltimore. And Baltimore is going to be licking their chops, ready to avenge that divisional round playoff loss last season. You mentioned A.J. Brown. Yeah, 1 catch, 21 yards, not enough. And also, you got to give some love to Frank Reich. I think Frank Reich, coach of the Colts, most aggressive coach in the NFL. This man went for 4 on 4th down on 5 occasions last night, which in my mind is just an absurd number. It went 3-5, and you look at 3rd downs, and if you look at 3rd downs by themselves, it was about an even split. Colts went 4 of 12. The Titans went 3 for 10. But when you incorporate the 4th downs and extra opportunity to extend drives, then it goes advantage Colts. 7 for 17 on 3rd and 4th down, and the Titans are 3 for 11. Frank Reich, having trust in his offense, giving them extra chances, made a big difference. He deserves credit for that.